What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Rawstocks. This is your boy Rustic, and today we're going to be taking a look at some charts. We're going to look at Tesla, QQQ, SPY, and Nvidia, like we've been doing the last couple days. Had a nice, awesome trade called out in the premium section of the Discord. For those of you who are members, we had over a 400% QQQ trade, and that's the first thing we're going to look at was that trade today. You know, why I took entry, what I was looking for, and why I continued to hold that position even though it hit target. It ended up well exceeding the target. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Before we get started, don't forget to check out the link in the description below. We got the Rawstocks official website, www.rawstocksllc.com, for more information of how to join the Discord, either as a free member or as a premium member. And there's also a code for 30 days of a free trial on that website itself. So go ahead and check it out. But let's jump into the charts and see what we had cooking today. So like I said, we got QQQ open, we got the 1 minute chart open, and I have our trade set up here. Okay, so what I was watching for when I took this entry was that we had come down here, right? We had ran the stops out of this low on the 1144 candle as we started to have RSI divergence setting up on the 1 minute chart. Okay, so that starts to tell me, look for signs of reversal, and be looking for that potential long entry. We bounced up, we popped back down into an order block, we shot out of there and gave us a 1 minute fair value gap. Okay, and I don't remember the exact entry, like specific candle, but it was somewhere after that fair value gap. We cycled back down a little bit. We had our stop loss below the low of the candle that formed the fair value gap. Okay, so it did come back down and got a little bit red, but it didn't hit our stop loss. From there, it rallied up. We had our take profit at a previous high, set from the end of the silver bullet time macro. Okay, and then we saw price run up on that level, right? It basically hit it on this explosive move on the 105 candle. Okay, but then I saw another fair value gap. So when I saw that fair value gap, I said, I want to see what price does with this fair value gap, right? I'm already in profit at this point, because my break even's down here somewhere, which is below the fair value gap. So I said, I want to see if we drop into that fair value gap and respect it. We also have our 1 minute moving averages here, right? Which happens to be fair value gap and 100 period. Even running a test of the 200 period could leave that fair value gap open. So I saw price come down into that fair value gap, starting to push off and respect that 100 period. Okay, and then we made a move up. We set a couple more bullish fair value gaps, no bearish fair value gaps. There's a really tiny one in here, but no real bearish fair value gaps. We come down, we bounce another fair value gap, and we rip off and run off of that. Okay, so at that point, I had been looking at gamma levels. Gamma levels were highest, huge high at 470. We traded this same kind of position yesterday as well, and turned a nice profit on that one also. But I said, let's see if we can make that push to 470. So, deep in profit at this point in time, come back down, we respect the 50 period, we run up, we set some more fair value gaps, right? Inside of there, we also respected, it shows close, there's no indication that there was one here, but on the 153 to 155 candle, there's also a fair value gap that never actually closed. We had candle bodies close right at the lower threshold of that fair value gap, so that technically is actually still open. And then we continued to push up, more fair value gaps, pushed up, right? And at that point in time, I was like, let's just see where we go, right? And I ended up taking a close somewhere up here near the end of the day. Over 400% profit on the daily, the 0 day, and then really nice profit also on some weeklies. So had two different calls on QQQ, all called out in the premium section of the Discord. Traders who followed made a pretty penny off of that one, right? Still could push a little higher. You can see we went all the way up to 468, but we had that high positive gamma at 470, and that's the reason I took that trade, and I stayed in that trade well above where our take profit level was on the 2-to-1 for the trade entry. So for those of you who followed or were curious about why we took that entry and why we held, there's the technical analysis on that specific trade. Now we're going to jump over to Tesla. We'll go back to QQQ in a minute. On Tesla, we'll go ahead and look at the daily chart. You know, we had a big sell-off today. We had some levels. They were basically sell-side levels right here and right here. There, I need to adjust them a little bit. They weren't perfect. But either way, we had levels there. We found our support there. We ran out kind of the liquidity down at this low, pop back up pretty significantly up to a close of 170.66, right? So nice bounce. Did enter some calls here, still in them. Also called out in the premium section of the Discord. Some traders took the stop loss on it at break even because it had gone positive and then it went back to negative, or it went back down, ended up going negative. Now it's currently up $300, still in that position. We talked about this triangle, right? And we were approaching the apex and we were looking for a breakout or a breakdown. Well, we still have this bigger triangle that still has yet to play out, right? This really tight triangle, basically from May 21st, you know, to yesterday's candle where we were, you know, ultimately wedged within range. We get a breakdown today. Now, is this a true breakdown or is this a false breakdown? We have yet to determine that. And so we will be watching to see, with the data reports coming out this week and the vote on Tesla, that this could have just been a false break, right? I mean, it does clearly look like a breakdown on today's candle, but do we see us rip back up and then invalidate this aggressive support or resistance line, and then see us push up, right, and test this larger triangle that we're in? So definitely, like, really interested to see what you know the future for this week holds in Tesla. See if we continue to fade, right? RSI doesn't give us too much signals at this point in time. On the daily, we're below the moving average, all the moving averages, right? We've run a test on the 100. Could not get back up to the 100. So, you know, ultimately on the moving averages, we're looking bearish on the daily chart. But again, we have manipulation, or we have data. So this could have just been manipulation on a Tuesday, which, you know, oftentimes happens if you're following like ICT, smart money, PO3 theories, right? Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Distribution, if it occurs, should have us going back up to run a test on Monday's high. Potentially Friday's high. If we drop into the 1 hour chart, 1 hour chart just shows that big, massive sell-off out of the open, right? We had an order block here, and we officially closed that order block that we'd been tracking, that we had continued to dip into. So that order block and that support level is off the table because it's been taken out. Now we're looking at this resistance level, right, to see if we can push back up to that. Still below all the moving averages, starting to have the 20 period flatten out. See if we can get back above that. RSI supports a move back higher, maybe even run a test on the 200 period up at 175.55 currently. But that could change tomorrow if price continues to be below the moving averages. And we also again have that order block coming in at 177. Now max pain also currently sits at 177.50 as far as options contracts go. So potentially some motivation to run it back, right? Run it back up into this order block that happens to be between 175 or 177.50 and 179.80. So we could see that push up. Highest gamma level right now, 180. Lowest gamma, or highest negative gamma, 160. So we're pinned right around that 170 area. Looks like dealers are you know, ultimately having our ceiling and floor be between 160 and 180, which is a huge range, $20, but anticipating a potential large move back up into the rest of the week, or even potentially down. There's a lot of negative gamma. I'm not going to pop it up for you on the screen right now, but definitely a lot of gamma on the downside, all the way from 170 all the way down to 160. Again, with our highest negative gamma being at 160. Last thing we'll do is look at the 15-minute chart. 15-minute chart has us just getting above the 20 period, making a push on the 50. We got a fair value gap, couple fair value gaps that are bullish here, running a test on a bearish fair value gap on the 15-minute chart. Tomorrow we're going to want to see price push into or above that fair value gap, right? Potentially to that order block up in the 170s. Tomorrow, maybe into the next day. So just be watching to see if that move plays out, but be very wary that we have this bearish order or bearish fair value gap, that if we just push up into it, the consequent encroachment is at 172.39. We could find rejection there, come back down and test this 15-minute order block, and then maybe start to rally up from there. certainly would burn all the calls out. Probably a lot of puts entered the market today too as we were falling, and then we bounced. And so, ultimately got to be thinking like a market maker and a dealer, as far as like how are they going to manipulate price and burn as many contracts as they can, ultimately so that, retail is not making their money. We'll jump over to QQQ on the daily chart. Take a look at what the Qs are telling us. We showed those fib levels, potentially making that run to 174.66 and then higher, 474.66 and even higher 495.18. You can see we're making that push, right? Higher high. RSI would support that move up to at least 474.66, which would be 2 standard deviations using our fib tool. Okay, and then at that point we could potentially look for a small-ish correction, and then maybe even a push higher, making that run on 495.18. So we'll be just watching gamma levels to see if those continue to support, the continued move higher. All the moving averages lined up, right? Recently ran a test of the 50, bounced. Probably when we get to the 2 standard deviations, we'll come back, run a test on the 20 period daily, right? And then see if we can make that push even higher. This hasn't been an aggressive blowout move. So this is really just, kind of this like, up, down, but nothing extremely aggressive. Just kind of typical of like what you might see in a third wave, where it's just kind of like walking it up. Most days, just kind of gain a little bit with minor pullbacks, nothing significant. The biggest one we had was this consolidation, drop back down to the 100 period, right? Ran a test on it, ultimately got back up and continue to push. So be watching for these 2 levels, 474.66, 495.18 on the Qs. Jump over to SPY. SPY, I just got the 1 hour chart up. You can see SPY also pushed up a little bit. Actually, let's go look at the daily. You can see SPY on the daily had a nice open low, push up higher, ran a test, closed at the wick high, but set a wick a little bit higher than last Friday's candle. So ultimately still a push up, right? We also got our fib levels on SPY. And SPY, again, RSI can support this, move up to 544.43. So see if we can get that push. Same thing, ran a test of the 100 period, popped up, ran a test of the 50 period, popped back up above the 20, bullish on the daily moving averages, bullish on the RSI. Drop into the 1 hour again, bullish setup on the moving averages. Again, you can see that open low, pushed up, a little bit of draw back to the 50 on the 1 hour, pushed up above it, ultimately ran to a new high, right? So just bullish on the indexes, right? We might see, based on RSI, either flat or slight drawback to test this moving average as it comes up, right? Even if it goes under it a little bit, expect it to curl up and rally up higher to get to an overbought reading, and then maybe some kind of correction from there. But I'd be using your fib level, looking at 544.43. Don't know what the gamma looks like on SPY, but I will be posting updates in my Discord. Last thing we'll look at is Nvidia. Nvidia, we got I'm gonna show daily, 4 hour, 1 hour. You can see daily had an inside day, right? Inside day didn't close as low as the open from the previous day, so it's not like a tweezer kind of look, but you can see that 4 hour fair value gap, and we'll look at it on the 4 hour chart. But you can see that we're still just kind of piling up into that, continuing to push down. The low was higher than the previous low, so you do have like an intermediate term low, lower low, higher low situation. So if we are going to push up, it's gonna be because of that kind of look. We could also draw a small trend line here and say, as long as we respect that, that we're probably not going to push any lower than that trend line, but we'll just have to be watching that. We'll drop to the 4 hour. The 4 hour gives us that fair value gap we're talking about here, 4 hour fair value gap. If you want to look for a range to trade, trade this 4 hour fair value gap, right? When we get up to, near 123, in between 122.22 and 123, inside that 4 hour bearish fair value gap, you can take a short entry, right? And then try to write it down, 118, 119, something like that. So we got our little trend line here that we can be watching, like I said, intermediate or short term or intermediate term long term, intermediate term, as far as our, or we could say short term, long term, short term, either way, higher low, lower low, higher low, and so if we, pop back up, maybe be looking for that again, 119, 120 trend line to hold. If we drop below that, we're going to run a test of this previous low down here at 117, and then beyond that, we'd be dropping down to the 4-hour 50 period moving average. Right now we're above it. Right now all the moving averages above it. Right, so wouldn't be surprised if we see just kind of some more consolidation within this area. We'll go to the 1-hour chart as well, and that's the last thing we'll look at for today. Same thing, right? Every time we pop up into this 4-hour fair value gap, good short opportunity, right? Just write it down. Every time we get down on the 1-hour chart around the 100 period, or the 100 period right now, you can look to close that short entry or look to take a long entry, see if we can bounce back up. We do start to see the convergence of the 20 and the 50 on the 1-hour chart. So if price gets below that, we'll see that 20 period roll over below the 50. We are neutralized on the RSI on the 1-hour chart, right? So if price starts to come down and that curls down, look for the cross and then look for the potential cross of the 100 period. And at that point, we'd be running at the 200 period, which is down around 114, 115 area. And it will continue to climb as 1-hour candles continue to be painted as we go through trading sessions, right? This chop can be traded until it doesn't work anymore. Once we've invalidated the kind of ranges and indicators and signals that we're looking at, then that's no longer the trade you want to play, right? So not financial advice, but that chop range is good. And if you want more information on how to trade a chop or how to trade a range, we just did a live session that was recorded, posted on YouTube, and it is under just our videos here on the Rawstocks channel. So hopefully that's been insightful for you guys. I appreciate all the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with all your friends, drop a comment if you like the video. Last thing I want to do, I had a request for silver. And let me see if I can pull that up real fast. We'll take a look at silver. I'll look at the daily, the 4-hour and the 1-hour. So here we got silver. We got a bearish look on the RSI. We got a bearish fair value gap as we push down into this bullish fair value gap. We get a bearish change of character. We see this chop, right? A little bit of consolidation. Kind of looks like we're going from a market maker buy model to a market maker sell model. Okay, we get that fair value gap. If we pop back up into that and remain below the 20 period, could be a good short opportunity to attack some of these bullish fair value gaps, or even maybe a test on the 20 or the 100 period. Don't expect it will come all the way down to the 200 period necessarily. Just more looking for, potentially a little bit more fading as we, as we draw down, correct, and then maybe run higher from there. On the daily chart, we'll look at the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart below the moving averages, except for the 200 period. So be watching for this 20 and this 50 to continue to cross. We see the convergence of it now. Look for it to cross, strike price a little bit lower below the 200, maybe down in this order block about $24. I think $24 would be a pretty good entry if you were looking to enter into SLV or silver, the iShares Silver Trust. And then we'll look at the 1-hour lastly. 1-hour below the moving averages, set up as a bearish moving average setup, right? And again, we got an order block on the 1-hour chart, same range, $24, right? We can see that evidence of that, what we saw in a higher time frame as a market maker buy to sell model, right? And as we saw price come up, we saw it try to come up, back up, came into the order block that's up here, right? Little bit of consolidation, made a run on the stops from here, again back in the order block, set a new order block, right? And then we start to see bearish activity, distribution to the downside, large fair value gap here. We did see a brief pop back up, and then we continued to trade down from there as well. Some more bearish fair value gaps, right? And so if we are looking for price to head lower, which we did get kind of to an oversold reading, so I mean it could be close to the bottom, but I'd be looking to see if we could get back to $24 ish. I think that'd be a great entry point. You could also use a fib level if you were, looking for a certain retracement, and we could say based on this move here, you know, anywhere from $25.53 down to $24 could be a good entry point. Our fib levels are looking for a 26 to 25.50 retracement. Beyond that, we'd be running to the order block. So take that as you will. Right, we could also look from kind of a bigger move from top to bottom, and you could say that $24 is right around our golden pocket or our optimal trade entry range there as well. So again, checking out silver. This was a request by somebody, and if you have any requests, drop them in the comments. Be happy to do some analysis for you. If you're not a member of the Discord, join. Not sure why you're not. If you haven't, you know, we had like $3,000-$4,000 in call outs today on only a couple trades. So join the premium Discord, $25 a month. We got deals if you upgrade to annual. We got deals if you want a lifetime membership. Lifetime membership comes with 6 individual mentor sessions, as well as a 6 module tutorial on how to take a specific trade setup. If you're not interested in premium and you just want to hang out, find a trading community, we also have a free section of the Discord as well that has a lot of traders hanging out during market hours. So like always, appreciate the support. See you guys on the next trading session, and good luck tomorrow.